outcome in effective student assessment. So before our speaker joins for the session, I'll just briefly introduce our speaker for today's the current session that we'll have. Professor Lynda Zohmingliani is a professor at Department of Education, Mizoram University. Ma'am has completed her Master's in Education as well as Master's in Sociology, BA, PhD, and Certificate in Human Rights. So Professor Lynda has completed research projects and also has scholars under her. Professor Lynda has 27 research paper publications, 7 books and book chapters. Professor Lynda has been invited to deliver lectures and as resource person at various seminars and workshops, and she has also presented papers at different national seminars and conferences. So we're very lucky to have ma'am with us today, and ma'am will be discussing on the topic of teachers as mentors. I believe that our speaker will be joining us soon. So now that I've already introduced our speaker for this session, I will not be reintroducing ma'am when she joins. And due to the technical difficulty we're facing because of the power outage, whenever ma'am joins, she will be with us and she'll take the class as convenient. So participants, please be patient.
Visible? Can we put some?
Yes, ma'am, you're visible, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ishanika. So I was listening to the introductions about me. Thank you so very much. I have had to move from my department to the main headquarters, MMTTC today. So I would like to greet all the participants of the faculty induction program this afternoon. And I hope whatever is to be discussed, that there will not be any problem as far as understanding of the concepts is concerned. Am I audible? Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
So can you see? Can you see the screen, and can you also see the PowerPoint that I have shared?
Yes, ma'am. The PPT is visible.
All right, because I cannot make out whether you can see the PPT or not. So this is a new computer that I'm using. It's not my computer, so I will just see whether I can cope with this or not. So if I go in the slide mode, will you be able to? Is it visible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Is
Ma'am,
it visible in the slide mode?
please try again, ma'am, because it's not going to the slide mode. It's not moving.
Okay. And then is it now in the slide mode?
Not yet, ma'am.
It's already in the slide mode on my computer.
Ma'am, I think ma'am, it might be better if you, instead of going to slide mode, presentation mode, if you just click down on the slides, like just manually move the slides.
Okay, instead of going to the slide mode, you're suggesting that I use the main screen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Is it okay now, or?
Please, ma'am, please try moving the slide.
Is it moving?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you so very much, Ishanika, and good afternoon, dear participants. This afternoon, I'm sorry that I have to apologize. this is a new laptop which is not very familiar with me, but I hope I will be able to deal with the new features here. As I can see, my background is gone, but I can see my face. So I hope you all can also see my face. The topic of discussion, under discussion for this afternoon, is teachers as mentors. So before I go to explain how teachers can be mentors, I would first of all like to explain the concept of teacher. So, who is a teacher? A teacher is a person whose occupation is to teach. So, the primary task of us teachers is to deliver the classroom instructions that help students to learn, isn't it? So, at any point of time, if you feel that I need to, rephrase myself, explain or re-explain anything, I would like you to make use of the chat box here. That is not just so that you and I can be more interactive. It also shows that I am visible and that I am audible to you all, because from my side, I cannot see the PowerPoint that I'm sharing without exiting from the mainstream. So therefore, I would very much be grateful if you can be more interactive than usual. So on that note, so to further explain the concept of teacher, ultimately, the teacher is the person who helps students to acquire knowledge, competence, or virtue. So, when we explain the teacher as somebody who just delivers classroom instructions, then it becomes very mundane, not just mundane, it doesn't become, what we call as a it doesn't sound like what we used to call a very noble profession, isn't it? Because each and every time we try to explain the concept of teacher, teaching, then what we always go back to is to explain the teaching, or to explain thank you so very much, thank you so very much for your use of the chat box. That makes me so that makes me so relaxed, the fact that you all are responsive. So I was getting worried actually. So on that note, I will continue. So when we talk about teaching, when we talk about teachers, you will see what is there in the slides. There are three things that are there in the slide. The teacher, who is like any other occupation doing his or her job. It could be, that of masonry, it could be building a house, it could be designing something, it could be teaching children, it could be teaching adults, it could be anything, just any job wherein he gets a salary. The second is to more clearer to deliver instructions. So, in another way, we can also explain this as enabling students to understand concepts. And the third is the person who helps students to acquire knowledge, competence, or virtue. It is when we look into the third explanation of a teacher that suddenly the concept of teaching, the personality of a teacher, the image of a teacher, the situation of a teacher, the position of a teacher in society becomes more important and sounds more significant, isn't it? We do hate it when we call our profession as just a job, and we also do not like it very much when people call us instructors, isn't it? But we are happy when they explain us as people who help other people to gain knowledge, to gain skills, and to, over and above all of that, understand the virtue of being human beings and how to deal in a virtuous way with other people, and also how to live in the most virtuous way that we know, so that our students also may be able to learn from us. So why do I stress on the virtue part? The reason that I stress on the virtue part, because it is so important for us teachers to understand just how important it is for the teacher to maintain a certain decorum, a certain behavior, a certain a certain a certain sense of awareness of himself as a teacher, teaching other human beings. Because, one thing very, very important that I would like all of us to understand here is the fact that we may be teaching any subject, any other subject, like, for example, it could be languages, it could be the arts, it could be sciences, it could be languages, it could be anything. But the most important is that we are interacting with human beings. We are not dealing with wood. We are not dealing with rules. We are not dealing with, building. We are not dealing with roads. We are not dealing with anything but the most important elements that exist on earth, and that is human beings. So therefore it is very, very important for the continuation of a safe society, for the building of a developing society, that we teachers know and understand our position and significance in society. So this is why we speak about virtue when we talk about teachers. See, we also talk about language, we also talk about knowledge, we also talk about many other things that teachers should have as an essential part of their characteristics. But when what we need to understand and what we need to establish and re-establish, in fact, is that we teachers are going to teach. And whether we want to teach or not, we are going to teach them. The concepts of some families having certain traits. Some families are outgoing. Some families stay inside their homes. Some families read a lot. Some families are good with interactions with other people. And ultimately, there is also a term for that, and we call that trait, isn't it? We call that a family trait. So their family trait is to be friendly, their family trait is to be slightly aloof, their family trait is to be very educative, their family trait is to be workaholics, etc., etc. Why do we do that? It may be so that parents may have taught their children and grandchildren in a certain way, but most probably from research findings, it has been that without the parents actually teaching or meaning to teach their children, or um, yes, the video is not disabled, but the audio is disabled. Dr. Prakash, the audio is disabled from your side so that my audio can be more audible for the rest of the participants. That is what happens in a Zoom. But I'm sure the video will be available for you to see. At least my face will be available for you to see, visible for you to see. To go on with what I was saying, so when we talk about teachers and explain the meaning of teacher using the words like virtuous, knowledge, instructions, what we actually mean is that beyond the instructions, beyond the knowledge sharing, there is also another essence that we inadvertently teach our students, and that is hopefully virtue, isn't it? So, and it also becomes even more significant, the fact that teachers are not just to teach new knowledge about certain concepts or subjects, but general virtue, whatever the subject may be. So, in that way, let me also try to explain what is the concept of mentoring, or who is a mentor. According to the NEP 2020, a lot of references has been made on mentoring. And even before that, mentoring was always a very important aspect of education. So over and above the class teaching that is made, wherein the students learn without the teacher being very much aware of it, certain nuances, certain characteristics, certain behavior patterns of the teacher, there is also a very, very important session which we call mentoring. So who is a mentor? A mentor is an experienced professional who provides informal guidance to beginners as well as experienced professionals for career growth. So he is an experienced professional. A mentor is also a trusted friend who cares about your career growth and development as a whole. So, when we talk about mentoring, when we talk about mentors, we are essentially talking about guiding, or in other words, coaching, also, isn't it? Teaching, beyond teaching, there is that guiding, which is an even closer relationship with another person. Because when a person teaches, it could be a whole full of students, adults, young children, or when he works as a resource person. For example, right now you are a group of more than 100, and you all can read and understand what is being shared in the screen. But what is the speciality of a mentor and a mentee is that it is a one-to-one relationship where the more experienced person, the more experienced individual leads the other individual towards a safer, a more knowledgeable end. All right. So the mentor can also become a trusted friend who cares about your career growth and development as a whole, as has been shared here. So when we say he is a trusted friend, who is a trusted friend? More often than not, teachers are not considered as friends. Why? Because we are the ones who take the dominant role in the classroom. We are the ones who instruct. We are the ones who speak the most. We are the ones who introduce a classroom to new concept. We are the ones who sometimes make orders. We are the ones, excuse me, I think I need to pick this call. Because it seems to be a call that is rather important from my department. So I am so sorry. So to continue with what I was saying, so when we talk about friendship, sometimes on rare occasions, teachers are also friends with their students. But unless and until you are talking about, the relationship of maybe a PhD scholar and that of a supervisor, or the relationship of postgraduate students with their young teachers, it's very difficult sometimes to establish a true friendship with the students. And one thing we as teachers need to remember is that although it is good to be friends with our students, first and foremost, we are teachers. That is something that you need to remember, because before anything else, before you are anything else, you are teachers. That is one thing that you need to remember, the fact that you are a teacher there to teach the students, and being friends with them is important. But ultimately and most importantly, you are teachers. You are there to teach. You have been recruited to teach. So who is the mentee? A mentee is someone who has identified a special or personal or professional goal, and who believes that the guidance and help of a mentor and being held accountable to that mentor, that means the mentee has to report to the mentor. It can help them achieve their goal. In our case, I will just go to the next explanation. Anyone who wants to learn and seek valuable advice from someone who knows in order to grow professionally and or personally, he is the mentee. So whenever we talk about the mentee, he is usually in that more vulnerable position. Although this is not to say that the mentor is not vulnerable, the mentee is more vulnerable because what is being shared by the mentor, what is being taught by the mentor is absorbed by him. And if he has a mentor who is not guiding him in the proper way, a mentor who doesn't know his position as a teacher, then the student is going to be in dire straits. He's going to be in a mire of problems. Why do I say a mire of problems? Because he will not just face the danger of failing in his examinations, in his subject matter, but also he is in the danger of attaining a degree without actually understanding the importance of the degree he is going to attain. It could be that of a medical professional, it could be as a teacher to teach in a classroom. And remember, when we say we teach in a classroom, we don't just teach in a classroom, because the pyramid is it literally is a pyramid. You are there at the top, and maybe 30, 40 students are there. And one fine day, those 30, 40 students are going to teach. And those, in the classroom are also again going to teach. Whether you want it or not, you are not just teaching 40 students at a time. Always remember that. So, what is the task of mentoring? So, when we say mentoring, we are talking about giving advice, training somebody, especially a younger colleague, in the art of counseling, guiding, coaching, instructing, tutoring, and also ultimately teaching. Why do we say in the art of in the profession of teaching, it is important to get your professional teaching degree? We say it's important to get a professional teaching degree because we know that it's not just about having a subject knowledge in a certain subject and being able to go on extempore about that certain subject. It's much more deeper than that. You want to teach students about life. You want to teach students about how to how to deal with certain life emergencies also, because you do not know what things are going to come up in your teaching life. So therefore it is very, very important that as teachers, as mentors, you understand your situation as teachers. So when we say it is counseling, it is guiding, it is coaching, it is instructing, it is tutoring, it is also teaching, we are admitting that students are important and they need somebody to teach them. They often need somebody to coach them. They need somebody to guide them in the right path, even, and also tutor them. One thing I would like to reiterate over here is that students, especially at the higher level of education, can very much educate themselves. This is why even online education system is so successful at higher education level. Therefore, it is very, very important that we as teachers understand that we are important. Our roles as teachers are important only so long as we remember our position and our duties as teachers. Right. So it's not just about subject knowledge, especially at higher education level, students can very much teach themselves certain concepts, maybe even all of the concepts that are going to be taught in the class. So the important situation, the important position of the teachers are qualities needed in mentors that let us just see. First is a range of interpersonal skills to fit a variety of professional encounters and situations. So sometimes the workplace is not going to be as peaceful as you expect it to be. Sometimes you may not see the results of your hard work as you had expected to earlier. So things may not go as smoothly as possible. But the thing is, it is a very, very important, and this is also an essence of the teacher that that makes him a special person in society. It is very, very important that the teacher learns certain interpersonal skills to fit a variety of professional encounters and situations. I will just explain my own experience as a teacher. I remember the first time that interdisciplinary education was introduced here in my university. I had a student from a different department who liked to have green hair matching with his green nail polish. And I had never seen anybody with that kind of, with that kind of, how should I explain, with that kind of a character, with that kind of leaning. Is that right word to use at this point in time? I had never seen that kind of student in my class. A student, a male student who liked to have green nail polish, also green hair. And also, in many ways, his to be not to insult anyone, but in many ways his behavior was also not very masculine. So I had to find new ways to interact with him so that he would not feel conscious about himself in my classroom, and also maintain the right closeness and distance that students and teachers should maintain, so as to make it possible for me to learn from him and also for him to learn from me. So it was initially for the first 2 weeks or so, it was slightly difficult for me because I felt bad when I looked at his side, because he might feel conscious that I was staring at him, and I did not want him to feel that way. But then I could see that he began to feel more comfortable in my class, because after the second week, he started to question the things that we were discussing in our class. He also not just, discuss, but he also began to raise certain questions. And at the end of the semester, thankfully, we became, I would not say very good friends, but we became good acquaintances. So why do I say this? Because sometimes in class, especially in a country like India, where we are a unity of diverse people, isn't it? Some of us do not even speak the same language. Some of us, we do not have the same facial features. So, therefore, in a situation like this, it is important to maintain a personal behavior where people are aware that each and every one that you encounter are, at the same level, that we are equal, so before the eyes of the nation. So that is important, that you do not particularly you do not particularly favor a certain race, that you do not particularly favor a certain section of the people. All of these are important as teachers. Why? Because when you have uh, you know, good interpersonal skills that will enable you to not just teach, not just impart the knowledge that was taught to you, but it will also enable your students to learn from you, a person, the virtues that we had spoken about, because they are so important. An engineer may know how to build roads, an engineer may know how to, build bridges, he may know how to build buildings, so on and so forth. But unless and until he knows and understands and also appreciates the beauty of virtue, how will he, how will he bloom as a person? How will he grow as a person? So he will be forever like, a student, or like a flower that is not fully grown. Only one part of him will grow. That is the part of him that knows and understands engineering. But the part of him that needs to interact with other human beings, still being in the baby stage, in the infant stage, will not do well when he is in the professional world. This is why it is important that we learn interpersonal skills, and we also try to enable our students to learn the interpersonal skills. The second is a good working knowledge of a repertoire of teaching methods, alternative modalities of learning, and styles of teaching and learning that affect student achievement. Now, why do we say earlier I had spoken a little bit about teacher education? I also spoke a little bit about professional teacher education. Why is it so important to get a professional degree in teaching? Because there we learn about various methods of teaching. We learn how to interact with the students. Simple things like set induction, knowing at what stage the students are as far as this concept is concerned. For example, you are going to teach them, let us say, ecosystem. How much do the students know about ecosystem? What aspect of ecosystem do they need to know at their level? So if you are going to use some scientific terms, are they familiar with that? So in order to go to the next step, you need to know at what stage the students are. Because if you jump too high, the students may not be able to catch up. That is one. And also, if you stay in the same position for too long, the students will not grow. So therefore, it is important that teachers, we need to learn how to teach. We may be good at the subject ourselves, but that ability, that skill of imparting a particular knowledge to help learners learn, and to also help them learn how to learn. It is very, very important, helping the students learn how to learn. And the third is ability to use coaching processes that foster increased self direction and self responsibility of the beginner teacher. So, this is one very, very important aspect of teaching, because when we talk about mentoring, you should remember that it is very close with coaching. You are literally one on one with your mentee. So, therefore, you want to know not just about his or her knowledge about that subject you are teaching, but also what he is involving himself or herself after the business of learning new knowledge is done. How does he spend his time? How does he like to spend his time? What things does he like to do? So these are simple questions that the coach asks. For example, in the world of football, the coach is very, very important. He knows the ability of the footballers, but it's not just the ability of the footballers that he knows. He also knows about their girlfriends, their sometimes their financial situation, what they like to spend their spare time with. All of these things he knows. Why? Because these things affect his football. So, just like that, the teacher, as a mentee, would be wise to know about the students. What is their primary language? Where they have come from? What is their religion? Not to be discriminatory at this point, but it's far, far removed from discriminatory. It is more about the teacher making use of the student's background so as to enhance his learning. All right, so therefore it is important that teachers know about the background. We need to know about the background of our students. Some students may have some struggles that many teachers do not know about, and the wise teacher might want to know more about these so that she will be able to help the student. So, what about teaching and research experience? When we talk about teaching and research experience, we want to say 25 years and above. Um, undergraduate teaching, they are eligible to be mentors. Those who are in the undergraduate level, those who are teaching the undergraduate, they need to have at least 25 years experience in order to able to act as mentors. And those who are teaching in the postgraduate level, they need to have at least 20 years experience and more in order to enable them to be mentors. So this is just how important that the nation, that the University Grants Commission, the main granting body, thinks that teaching is. So therefore, according to the NEP 2020, mentoring is essentially a formalized relationship that supports and encourages professional learning. So it's not just about random teaching, random support given to a student. It's not just about giving him, some financial help when he might need one, or giving him a lift when he might need one. No, not that. It is something, an act of favor towards the students that might help him in his future life as a professional. So in mentoring, a sound and trusting relationship is important, because that relationship will depend heavily on the degree of understanding and responsibility shared by the mentoring partners. So the first and foremost uh, thing that is needed is trust between the mentor and the mentee. And when they trust each other, believe me, many beautiful things will come out of that relationship, as I myself have experienced. So another thing that is being done, is being practiced right now, is the strength, weakness analysis, SWOT analysis, opportunities analysis, and sharing of profiles. Mentor and mentee through the um, derive the opportunities and time to get to know each other for building the foundations for the development of the professional relationship. So you want to take care of a student, you want to take care of several students as mentors, and certainly you know that this will not be possible in a classroom. So there is that one to one relationship which often takes place after the classes, where the students will be individually interacting with the student, with the teacher separately, outside of the hearing of other individuals, I might say. Why? Because as we said, first of all, it is important so that we trust each other, so that we begin to know each other's strengths and weaknesses. We learn about those things by sharing, isn't it? We share our backgrounds, we share our strengths, we share our weaknesses, and all of that, so that ultimately there will be a bonding between the mentor, us teachers, and the mentee, the students. And once that relationship of trust is built, then the foundations for future development can continue. So this will lead to connect the faculty, or in this position, we can say the mentee, to more to the needs of the society, the industry, rural and development, the country as a whole. So this is about connecting. This is about understanding. This is about appreciating. Uh, this is about uh, a feeling of empathizing with the students. So it could be in the field of industry, it could be in any field, it could be in the field of social sciences, it could be in any field. Once the teacher knows about the real needs and the abilities and the opportunities of that student or those students under his care, he will, if he doesn't have the right knowledge, he will have the opportunity to learn. He will know what to learn, how he needs to learn, and also how he should impart that particular knowledge to his mentee. So this phase will help teachers enhance their practical and field related skills for making teaching learning process applied and occupation oriented. Otherwise, you can simply take up a portion of the syllabus and spend 50 minutes or 1 hour, whatever may be the duration of a class in your respective college or university, and take up what is left of the previous class in the next class and complete a semester or so, isn't it? It could be that easy. But the important thing that you need to understand and realize at this point of view, at this point of time, is that the teacher is not just teaching so as to complete his task as an instructor. Remember, we do not want to be instructors. We want to be teachers. And if teachers are going to be mentors, we need to learn how to be mentors and be, not just able, but excel in a situation where we are placed as positions of mentors. This is very, very important for us to know and understand. So, to know effective communication skills that facilitate the growth of a maybe new employee and accommodate the employee's emotional, social, and cognitive skills, it is important for the teacher to be willing to learn. Communication skills are so important. I will just again give a small glimpse of what happened to me when I was very young. I was attached as a trainer of trainers in the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria in my city. And I was to interview a young sex worker. And from the looks of her, she was already very much, influenced by a number of things. Her face was not the face of an 18-year-old, although she spoke and thought obviously like an 18-year-old. It was obvious that she was very, very much younger than that. So I don't know where I had committed the, uh, a grave communication error, because from a certain point of time, I myself was very young at that point. So from a certain point of time, she began to give me false answers, and she gave very, very beautiful stories. She recounted stories of how she became a sex worker, how she waited till she was independent, and the many tragedies that befell her family before she became a sex worker, that from the outset she did not want to be a sex worker, so on and so forth. And how did I come to know that all of these were false? Was that another interview was conducted by a separate person just 7 or 8 days after that, and the sex worker gave an entirely different account of what happened to her before she became a sex worker. So this tells you what, I might have committed something which I was not aware of. Maybe it was in my, facial features. Maybe she answered a particular question in a certain way, and from my facial reaction to that, she realized that she could not be truthful towards me. So, therefore, effective communication skills are important so that you will be able to earn the trust of your mentee. In that interview, I entirely, completely lost the trust of that, young sex worker, and I could not help her the way I wanted to. It was a very, very sad thing. And although I do not remember her face. I do not know what she looks like. I no longer even remember her name. But she was an individual. She was somebody, surely, even after 11 years have passed, I still remember that, interview. Why? Because I'm thinking about the many girls out there who are doing their works, illicit work, and who are not getting the right kind of treatment, help that they deserve. It's not that the government doesn't want to help them, but it is majorly because they fear judgment, isn't it? They fear to be judged. They fear so many things. They fear to be jailed. They fear to be given certain medications that they might not like. They fear to be diagnosed with a fatal disease, so on and so forth. So there are still the fact that there are still so many girls like that roaming the city. It makes me sad. But at the same time, I know that many of the social workers, many of the so-called mentors will also be like me, not knowing how to deal with people who are in dangerous situations, with young girls, underage girls who are in dangerous situations. So, therefore, in order to help your students in the classroom, also, it is important to understand, appreciate, as I said, and also empathize with the students' emotional, social, and cognitive needs. What you need to understand in a classroom also is that the students will not all be at the same level of cognitive ability. What one student will be able to understand and discern from one sentence, another student may need, two, three, even four and five times explanation in order to understand a certain simple concept. So, therefore, we as mentors, we as teachers, we need to accept that students are not at the same level, and that we need to appreciate that difference that exists in the classroom, because that diversity will always be there, regardless of the race, regardless of the language, regardless of the economic situation, regardless of the locality, regardless of the origin that we always speak about as rural or urban. There is that other personal individual difference that exists within all individuals. And unless and until I, as a teacher, learn how to appreciate and understand the difficulty faced by a certain student in his cognitive abilities, his emotional state, then I will not be a good mentor. And I may not even, I may not even take up the job of a mentor, because it is very, very important that if the teachers are going to be mentors, if you are going to be mentors, you need to learn to empathize. And that empathy is not just about general diversities that exist in India. We need to accept and understand, and if necessary, learn about individual differences that may exist inside a single classroom. And the next is understanding the stages of teacher development within the context of how adults learn. This is very, very important, because we had just spoken about mentoring according to NEP 2020. So we also know that according to the NEP 2020, it is important to know about the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the challenges that may exist in a situation. So that is how we plan development within the context of how adults learn. Our students may not be mentally adult, but chronologically they will be adults. They will all be above the age of 18. So we need to understand how these young minds will develop in a healthy way, because believe it or not, one fine day your students are really, really going to be leaders of the nation. They are really, really going to be the majority in a certain section of the nation. And unless and until you believe that, unless and until you accept that, and unless and until you give them directions, so that one fine day, when they become leaders of the nation, they will remember your teachings and take care of the society in a sound way, then I'm telling you, we will all fail as teachers. And I will not go and on about many of the characteristics of a mentor. But one thing that we need to understand is, as mentors, we all need to have sound self esteem. The coach of a football league, he respects himself. And just like that, we also need to respect ourselves. Unless and until we have sound self esteem, unless and until we respect ourselves, see, just imagine a situation where a person who doesn't respect himself teaches in a classroom, and also the topic is about respect. So it's going to be a very, very difficult situation of the blind leading the blind, isn't it? So, a very, very important essence, a very, very important characteristic of a mentor is to help to have sound self esteem. And this is something that can also be built. All right. You can deliberately build your own self esteem. This is what many of our elders have done and continue to do. So, on mentoring, one of the recommendations of the National Education Policy 2020 is to develop a system of mentorship by experienced, distinguished, and sometimes retired faculty also. Remember, I said it clearly stated for the undergraduate level 25 years experience and above, and for the postgraduate level 20 years experience and above. So these are the minimum qualifying eligibility for mentoring. So this particular faculty will have the capacity and training to be able to approach students not just as teachers but also as mentors and guides. Because to be a mentor, to be a guide, not just to students but also to our fellow faculty, to our fellow teachers, is not an easy task. This is why the NEP 2020 advises that mentors should be experienced, distinguished, and also sometimes retired faculty. But we all know that this is not very, very practical in many situations. So even the young faculty sometimes has to take up the role of mentoring. And also in certain situations, we have a concept of reverse mentoring also. And before I go into that, I will continue with what NEP 2020 says on mentoring. So, according to the NEP 2020, with a view to enhance the effectiveness of teachers and empower them with relevant knowledge and skills sets for providing quality education, the UGC, under the aegis of the Ministry of Education, has planned to make a policy document on mentoring of teachers. So this is because proficient mentoring benefits all stakeholders. And when we talk about stakeholders, we are no longer just confining ourselves to teachers and the students. We are talking about the non-teaching staff. We are talking about the administration. We are talking about the very Ministry of Education itself, the Department of Higher Education, because see, mentors are the backbone of all higher education institutions, and having good mentors in higher education institutions will be a good indicator of better outputs, let's say. And also, uh, here I might add, it may not be 100% accurate, but also high employability. And high employability will also attract high enrollment ratio. So therefore, if we are going to follow the NEP 2020 dream of attaining that maximum number of enrollment by the year 2030, mentoring is one good way, healthy way to ensure that we are attracting the right number of students. So one important thing is teachers must be grounded in Indian values, languages, knowledge, uh, ethos and traditions, including tribal traditions, while also being well versed in the latest advances in education and pedagogy. Why is this so important? Is because, as I said earlier, India is like a melting pot of so many different colors, so many different languages, so many different social norms, even religion. So, therefore, it is important that in order to stay as one, in order to remain the unity of India as it is, in order to retain the unity of India as it is, we appreciate the difference of each and every society, language, race, and recognize it as a part of India. This is what is meant by being grounded in Indian values. Does anyone have any idea of being grounded in Indian values? Can you give me, you can make use of your chat box, so you can not, maybe if you want to, you can also you request the host to open the audio and speak out. Do you think there is any particular way that a teacher can behave or a teacher can do in order to enhance the students' knowledge about Indian values? Can any one of us volunteer an answer? See, I know it may be slightly difficult for some of us at this point of time, but what I would like all of us, and by that I mean us young teachers, the not so young teachers, that it is important that we as individuals are already different. Before I was a Christian, I was this person. Before I was a living in Mizoram, I was already this person. So, what I'm trying to essentially make each and every one of us understand is that even without the existence of different religions, different languages, different races, different society, different norms, there is always going to be that essence of being different individually. So, not just in India, but if you go anywhere else also, that difference will be there. So, therefore, when we talk about Indian values, it is important that from from the very, very grassroots level, that we need to learn and appreciate our individual differences. And from there, we will learn to appreciate other people, we will learn to appreciate other religions, and that is where we will start to be different. So, a national mission for mentoring shall be established with a large pool of outstanding senior retired faculty, including those with the ability to teach in Indian languages, who would be willing to provide short and long term mentoring professional support to university college teachers. So, this was one of the key points of the NEP 2020, that a national mission for mentoring is to be established. So we do not know just how much that this national mission for mentoring has gone. But what we do know is that at the school level, this national mission for mentoring has already been established, and workshops have been organized in New Delhi, wherein teachers from various schools have participated. And it is also expected that the same will be established in higher education. Retired faculty, senior faculty, if they would be willing to provide short and long-term mentoring, professional support to university college teachers, that would be beautiful. That would be lovely. So the point is that each new faculty is to be assigned a faculty mentor, right? So I am a newly recruited teacher. So therefore, I need a faculty mentor who has had a long tenure in that higher education institution and also has an exemplary track record. This is important. Assigning of a faculty mentor to a young, newly recruited teacher. So, do we have that in our university? Do we have that in our colleges? This might be something that you will want to make your institution administrators aware. So, higher education institutions will institutionalize processes for professional development and performance management of faculty and staff, including the faculty of online distance learning. This is important because even without the, one thing that is again the outcome of NEP 2020 is that even without the initial endorsement of the UGC, any university can open an online distance learning portal. And even in my own university, this has already been established. The important thing is that once that ODL has been established, since it is going to be another learning platform for institutions and for bearing with me. I am sorry I got disconnected again. So I will start sharing from where we last were. So each new, I have spoken about the existence of ODL and that even without the UGC's endorsement, ODLs can be open. So a self-assessment tracking system that would encourage faculty to assess their own progress and learning must be put in place. And I'm hoping that this is, since this is in the form of annual reports, it's in the form of IQAC reports. I'm hoping that all of these are in place in your respective colleges and university. So how are new entrants to be inducted? So right now, what we have is a faculty induction program, and this is how this is one of the way that faculty are being inducted in the university. So the same for colleges. So it is mandatory that for every newly appointed teacher, they attend this induction program within 1 year of his or her appointment prior to his or her regularization or confirmation. This is very important. So the main purpose of induction program is to make a teacher aware about the administrative setup and sensitize him to the classroom realities and understand. This is the whole purpose of the faculty induction program. Understand the bond between different stakeholders for realizing the professional aspirations and developing as agents of socio-economic change and national development. So where are the areas where induction is needed? Familiarization with institutional culture, norms and patterns of behavior, interaction with the faculty, introducing their specializations, strengths and contribution in the academics, orientation to teaching pedagogy and instructional material, educational gadgets and challenges of adolescent learning. All of these are areas where higher education teachers who are newly inducted need to be taught. So, introducing the avenues and process of professional development and growth, such as SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities, and challenges analysis, faculty development programs like this, or mentoring, career advancement, academic leadership, academic integrity, awareness about the professional ethics, the code of conduct, sensitization to dealing with students, academic and non academic staff. So all of these are areas where the today you might have your administrator as a mentor. So he has asked you to come and enroll yourself to this faculty induction program, which is a very good thing. But as you have learned today, there are many other things which are necessary as mentors for you to learn and know. So it is important that one day you are going to be mentors. So you may not be receiving the right amount of mentoring that you feel you deserve and need. But the important thing I can say from my own experience is uh, to learn to understand the various essences of a mentor. And even if I do not have that kind of individual in my life, in my college, in my university, I learn from myself. Right, I learn from myself, and learning from oneself is also a possibility in a university. So, what are the key issues? Availability and location of curriculum materials and teaching resources. So, as a mentor, as one day you will be, where are the materials located? Where are they easily available? These are key issues because essentially we are instructors, we are teaching in the classroom. So the young teacher, he needs to know that. And one day you are going to be mentoring young teachers, just as your mentors must be telling you how to, deal with the curriculum materials and teaching resources. Your duty is also to one fine day do the same deed to younger teachers. Information about students prior to teaching, it's important, as I said earlier, to know about the students, their individual differences, timetable and grade allocation, academic calendar, regulations and rules of the course or the programs, uh, how to access facilities and equipment, who is who, what is where, desk arrangements, availability of classroom resources, expectation about teaching role, and responsibilities. So, therefore, it is important that we also know about various mentoring initiatives taken up by the UGC. One is Dakshta. I don't know whether it's there in your institution. This is the formal induction program that we have in our university, and this is also for short FIP, as is going on right now. This is a mandatory requirement, and a new entrant should undergo an orientation induction program of prescribed duration under MOOCs or online. It could be in a blended mode as approved by the concerned authority, your principals, your vice chancellors, the body governing the higher education, that is basically the UGC. So we are going to learn further how many hours do we need to give in for faculty induction program. So enriching the induction program, prescribing the framework, structure and content of mentoring program. I'm sorry I cannot be as, as comprehensive as I would like to be, because we have lost so much time. From my department to the main MMTTC training center here. So I'm just going to skim through a few of these slides because I just want to highlight as to how many hours of training we would need, how many depending depending on the level that we are, depending on the kind of teaching. What I would also like to bring to your knowledge is that as far as this faculty induction program is concerned, you need to spend a minimum of stipulated hours if your training is in the online mode, and if it is in the offline mode also, that might be slightly less. So anywhere regarding of regardless of where you are, regardless of the kind of faculty induction program that you have as a mentor today, I would also like to share with you that this single FIT may not be sufficient. You might need to you calculate the hours spent in a single faculty induction program, so you might need to attend one more also, depending on the requirement of your respective college or university. So, what are the basics of mentorship? You help faculty members and of higher education institutions identify and achieve their career development. Simple things like telling them when to publish, and how to guide, how to supervise small things, but that would be very, very useful for them. Support building academic leaders who have knowledge, skills, and abilities, foster higher levels of engagement and career vision, equip faculty members with the tools necessary to enhance their capability within their current roles, create opportunities to meet and partner with stakeholders or cultural boundaries, create a culture that sees mentorship as an effective way of developing proficient individuals. So, as I said earlier, depending on the kind of situation that is offered to you, mentoring can be designed under different module 1 may be of 17 hours. Here you will need to concentrate especially on higher education and its ecosystem, meaning who are the ones involved in higher education: teaching, non-teaching, students at different levels, scholars, etc., etc. So module 2 will be curriculum designing, outcome based, at least 20 hours. For module 3, another 20 hours. For module 4, 20 hours. For module 5, again, 20 hours. And then remember, there are modules for each and every section of higher education. So in total, there will be 10 modules. So ultimately, when you have finished, so let me just read out. The teachers will have the choice to undergo MOOCs, massive online courses of similar duration offered by NITTTR. The duration of the induction program may range from 160 to 175 hours. Right. So the pairing of mentor and mentee, regarding this, the Ministry of Education has conveyed via the communication on 23rd September 2020 that in order to have a comprehensive database of distinguished teachers, all the higher education institutions and their faculties need to register to the Vidwan portal. So both maintained by InflipNet and the IUC of UCC. Only those institutions which are registered in IRINS and only those faculty who are registered in Vidwan portal will be considered for funding by the MOE, that is Ministry of Education, as suggested. So in order to make the mentoring system efficient and transparent, digital platforms like SWAM also need to be in place in your respective institutions, and this platform shall help in keeping the database of mentees and their progress, database of mentors, uploading learning resource material, assignments, assessments, also results of end-term examinations of phase 1, phase 2. What you need to remember is that since mentoring is not just something that is desirable, that should ideally be in every university, mentoring is now a necessity. It is outlined in black and white by the NEP 2020. So therefore, in each and every higher education institution, mentoring has to take place. This is very, very important, and that's something which all of us need to take into account. So portals to be filled with mentors with these qualities. All of these, I think you already know. I'm not going to stress so much on them. And also, because I know my time is up, I would like to say a big thank you for bearing with me for the hitches that happened initially for nearly 10 minutes, I think. And then for quite some time, I lost connection because the internet has been fluctuating in my campus today. But you have been very, very patient with me, and in that area I can also safely say that you all will become beautiful mentors very soon. Thank you all very much. So Miss Ishanika, I think with that my lecture is done. I hope they will be able to understand.
Yes, ma'am, very much, ma'am. Despite the
All
technical
right.
issues we face, ma'am has really done justice to the topic, and we thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so much,
much.
ma'am, for the effort.
Thank you very much. So can I leave the meet now? You
Yes,
may
ma'am,
want to
sure.
interact with your participants. All right. Thank you so very
Thank you
much.
so much,
And thank
ma'am.
you, dear participants. Thank you, dear participants. All right. Thank you, Andrea.
Hi.
You are
Oh, so
there. I did
nice
not
to
know that
meet
you were going
you.
to be there. It's
Yes,
lovely to meet you
Professor.
there.
Lovely
Even
to
if it
meet
is
you
only
too, Professor
online, I
Linda.
hope.
So nice.
Thank you very much. So I hope we will interact more in the future also. Lovely to meet you here again, Dr. Andrea. All right. Have a good evening, all of you.
To you too, yes, and everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and welcome